Let's do it.
Welcome once again to yet another episode of the Beard Al Podcast, the podcast about the two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al. I'm Lauren. I am always here because this is my show, and Russ, did me the favor of rolling himself in from the living room.
I did.
The chair, not himself. He didn't roll.
And, I have a beer for once.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yay! Yay! And you heard a third voice. It's the voice of somebody who's also never been here before. If you listen to the last episode, we talked with who we lovingly in this house call Rock City Nick. And we have somebody else of that exact same ilk who is named Scotty. And I will let Scotty introduce himself. Hello, Scotty.
Hello, I am Scotty.
All right, with that out of the way.
Yeah, great. Okay, what's up? What's next?
Yeah, tell us more about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What qualifies you to be here?
Well, my name is Scotty Hagen. I've been a Weird Al fan since 1982, and when I, was asked to do the podcast, I thought if someone could tell 16-year-old me that when you're 54. Some like-minded folk will want to talk about Velvet Elvis off of Even Worse. My response would have been, I'm looking out the window and I don't see a DeLorean. Take me there now.
I love it. I love it. We're so incredibly excited to have you here for this because I'm not going to dive into this whole entire story, but the last time Russ took me up to Detroit, we stopped in at Rock City Music, and Russ was off doing his thing with Nick, and you and I had a very intense Weird Al conversation, and I heard after the fact that the two of them were like, what could they possibly be talking about? Obviously Weird Al, and it was one of the greatest
getting it all in all at once.
Yeah, we were really getting it all in all at the same time. So
before we get into the actual discussion about this, I want to share kind of a funny story about my personal history and relationship with Scotty, as far as like how we found each other and became friends and so on. So Scotty's like a constant in the Detroit rock music scene, and in years ago, I used to have a job where I was my main job was driving pretty much all over Southeast Michigan. Like I had to be in, 6 or 7 different areas all the time. The cool thing about that was it afforded me to like get paid mileage to go to all of the record stores all over Detroit, like wherever I was. I'd just be like, oh, well, there's a record store near here, so I'm going to make that part of my route today. Right. So after I met Scotty, we used to, the first couple of times you walk in somewhere, you patron and a business owner and whatnot, like you just have like polite conversations. Well, the conversations would get like deeper and deeper about music and whatnot. And I'm possibly a purchase of like Doc and Beast from the East or something along those lines triggered like a longer conversation, and but the funny thing is whenever I had on my route that I was going to be near the store that Scotty was working at, I would literally like route in my day that I had a meeting because I knew it was going to be like at least an hour discussion of whether or not I was always going to buy records anyways, but even if I didn't, I knew that like there was going to be some sort of like very high quality discussion about like, and literally like as with most Weird Al fans, like you can get into a discussion about nearly any genre with a Weird Al fan.
Sure.
And So again, it wasn't like I could go in there and we could talk White Zombie as deeply as we could the Commodores, you know.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and so there was no way of being like oh well, I'm going in here today for this disco record, so like I know that like this can be in and out, you know, or like I'm going in for this metal record, and so I know it can be in and out. Like no matter what I was buying, the two of us would have like a big, huge, in-depth discussion. But I remember many times parking my car and saying to like superiors on the phone, like, okay, well, I gotta run. I gotta get to this meeting. And then like, literally it was just me going into where Scotty worked and then shopping for records. And then I knew it was going to be like a very long time. And actually when I became part of the regional, the national management team on Friday mornings, when I would go into Rock City, I would literally clear my meeting schedule on Friday mornings and tell people like, oh, well, I have like a lot of like, I would basically like do a shell game and tell like everybody else that I had meetings with everyone else. So that like nobody would schedule a meeting with me so that I could go into Rock City, because I knew like whatever time I got there, like if Scotty was there or Nick was there, it was going to be a minimum of an hour. And if the two of them were there, like I might as well just bring a tent.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd say bring lunch.
Yeah. Like, and we're just going to be able to talk about whatever. And that would be like on a down week when there was like, you know, only like 2 new releases I wanted, you
That's
know.
great.
So yeah. And then we used to run it. Literally he's the dude I would run into at like, because I'm the guy that would go to like every genre show. And at some point, no matter what artist I was seeing, we'd like pass it. Oh, hey dude. Like, you know, we'd be like the only 2 people I ever saw at every genre show was me and Scotty, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't matter if it was a metal show. It didn't matter if it was a pop show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was always the coming together, and you know, very similar. How you say, cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only been to one show anywhere near Detroit, and I ran into you.
I was going to say,
yes, you did.
Yep, you sure did.
That was a fantastic show.
It was Weird Al at Pine Knob, just so you know.
Yes, shocker.
It's funny. I during that show when he came out, just and you and I had talked about this last time. We were in Detroit, Scotty. Like both of us had gone to some of those early '90s Weird Al shows that were just like just embarrassing low attendance, you know, and
small club, the Ritz in Roseville.
Yeah, and then you know, I've been going to Pine Knob since at least I think my first show there was '91, and the place seats just over 15,000. And when Tacky started and the roar, the literal roar of a Detroit crowd, like you hear about. Like I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like I teared right up. Like I got choked up, and you know, and I just couldn't believe it. And then about halfway through the set, I ran up to get like more drinks or something, and I ran into Nick, and he was like halfway through the set, he was like teary eyed, and he was like, "Can you even believe this?" And I was like, "No, I can't." And he was like, "I got to go back," and I was like, "So do I." Like
it was so amazing just to be there, like amongst all those people cheering on Al. And I've like you mentioned, you know, being at some of those small shows. I've been to plenty of theater shows too, where it's just a reserved audience, and you're like, "Is this an audience or an oil painting? What's going on here?" They were just sitting there. But that Pine Knob show, the energy outdoors, you know, and the excitement. It's just like, you know, the joke never gets old. You know, like the lyrics you've been listening to for years still make you laugh, and then to have it live, like as soon as, and I mean, for as long as I've been seeing Weird Al, anytime, as soon as Fun Zone comes on, as soon as they hear the first note, I want to jump up, and I forget that it's always a sit down crowd. There's kids around, you know, and you're like, oh, sorry, you know, I'm not gonna be that guy, and you know, and stand there with my arms folded or anything, you know.
I'm 5'2", so I can stand up.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, you can stand. But yeah, we I mean, every time I've seen Al, it's like that show starts, just it's so amazing. And that Pine Knob show still was like, my brother was a number of rows back texting me, and I felt guilty because my older brother should have been there with us as well. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is just incredible. And yeah, I think about 3 songs in, I still had my sunglasses on, and normally I don't care if anyone sees me cry. Usually it's very easy for for me to get worked up. And I'm sitting there, and it's just like the Ray-Bans are on, and the tears are just coming down straight. And I'm like, not stone faced, but just like almost blubbering.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I was exactly the
While
same
people
way.
are laughing and enjoying it. I'm like,
yeah, I just, and I've talked about this on the show before, but like I used to live within walking distance of that venue. And, when I think back to like, I've seen, Guns N' Roses in the early 90s. I saw Metallica 2 nights in a row there in 94, and so many Rush, Van Halen. Like I've seen all these acts that like I've seen Aerosmith there and have it not be sold out. And then, Weird Al was like packed to the gills. And like you say, it wasn't even just that it was packed. It was the energy was just insane.
yes.
Yeah, I love
it was so good. I regretted not doing the VIP that night, and then
there were some,
and then when I saw your the photos you guys took, I was like, oh, that's so great.
Yeah. There were some opportunities with the, like, sometimes
it was still early on that tour, and they were still figuring out how to make all of that work. I think every VIP we've had since then has run a little more smoothly.
Yeah. That particular evening was not the smoothest run. They had, because you had the opportunity to get something signed by Al and then a photo with him. And they had everyone go through the line twice. You
got your photo first, and then you had to go back in the line and then do the signing. It was weird.
Yeah, it was very, very, very strange the way it was handled. Yeah. And even Weird Al kind of seemed like, what? Like, why is this happening twice? Yeah. But yeah, it was in Lauren had never been to a Detroit show before, and you always hear about Detroit concerts, and they wrote a whole song about it. And but like for her to get that crowd on that night was like just perfect. So
yeah, it was just a great day all around. That was so good.
Yes. Well, now that you've established your ethos here as why you're qualified to talk about this, this is one of the rare times where everybody here has something to drink.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So Scotty, you can go first, because Russ and I are drinking the same thing.
Well, I wanted to. This is a brewery I'm well familiar with, Founders, and I stopped in my one of my local watering shops, liquor shops, and I saw this and it spoke right to me. It's Founders Backwood Bastard. And some guy, he kind of looks like Gandalf almost. But he's got an axe over his shoulder, and he must be up to no good, because it says this is ale aged in oak bourbon barrels.
Oh,
I like that whole series.
11% alcohol.
Oh yeah,
good for you.
That whole series is like I remember. Geez, it would probably be at least 20 years ago or so now. But the first time, like I think it was Founders Dirty Bastard. I think was the first one I ever had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then
they still have that. I saw that there.
Yeah,
arrogant bastard.
Yeah, I think so.
There's that too.
Yeah,
and there's like a whole series of them, and all of them are great. And then they'll get you where you're going.
Yeah,
I'm tasting the notes of the aged barrel.
Oh, for sure.
But it definitely for a stout. I taste the separation of everything.
Oh, that's
everything
cool.
that. Yeah, this is a really good one. I've never tried this particular one.
No, I've never either.
It does say expect lovely warm aromas of oaky bourbon barrels. I do taste a bourbon
nice
note. Smoke, sweet caramel, and roasted malts. Nice. A bit of earthy spice and what does it say? I'm sorry, I should put my glasses on for this. And a scintilla? Is that the right word?
It might be.
Dark fruit. And a kickback sipper made to excite the palate.
Oh my!
So there you go.
Well, is your palate excited?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. In fact, as soon as I poured it, like I hadn't had a stout in a long time, and naturally my first inclination goes to like a Guinness or something, and it doesn't taste like that. I can taste it's thin. It's not as thick, not as heavy, but I can taste that bourbon for sure.
There's
bourbon notes.
one thing that I was really excited about when I moved here to Jacksonville is that there are a couple of very prominent Michigan beers that are featured like all over here. Like if you just go into like a chain, restaurant or whatever else, like they have a couple of Michigan beers on tap almost all the time. One of them is they usually have a Founders of some sort. I get sad when it's all day IPA, but other than that, I like when they have Founders on tap. But one of the first beers that I saw when I moved here is I was like, I don't know why I didn't expect it to be here, but it was, and that's the one that we're revisiting tonight, which is Bell's Two Hearted.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's such a standard in Michigan, but and it always wins best IPA, and it's really deserving. Like it's one of those things that like every time that it wins, people try and debunk it because the internet's the internet, and people try and go, but like Two Hearted is a really, really solid IPA. Bell's makes so many good beers, and in this beer, just like those beers from Founders, will get you where you're going.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
They sure will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what we're drinking, and you talk about that. It was like I literally got this at the grocery store today because I was like, we have to have something, and we have to have something that makes sense for what we're talking about today. And there were no beers that had anything to do with Elvis or the Police or anything along those lines. And I was like, I can't find anything. And then I saw the Two Hearted, and I was like, well, we'll just honor the Michigan of it all and like do that with this, right?
You think of it this way: if you have too many of these, you'll end up in trouble with the police.
Oh,
so
that's true, and you might punch a hole in the wall,
right?
But I'm standing in the grocery store, and they have this sitting right next to Cigar City's High Ally, which is out of Tampa, and those are probably this Two Hearted and High Ally are probably two of my favorite IPAs. So I've got the Florida and the Michigan, and I was like, I'd like to try them side by side one of these days and just see which one I like better, actually, because I always have them independent of each other.
Sure.
So that's what we're drinking. Now we're, almost 17 minutes into this. Let's start talking about the song.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what we're all here for today, right? So Velvet Elvis is, as we are in the Even Worse series, it is on Weird Al's 1988 album, Even Worse. And it is an original song that is a style parody of The Police, with its primary musical inspiration being songs like Don't Stand So Close to Me, Synchronicity 2, and Driven to Tears. And this era of kind of style parody marked a turning point for Weird Al, as far as, doing that kind of thing goes, coming off the success of Fat, he was like, well, how do I elevate the other stuff that I'm doing? And recognizing the fact that his original songs had become fan favorites alongside of his parodies. So the style parodies themselves were or pastiche, right? I should use that word that I like so much. The pastiches were becoming increasingly sophisticated. And I would argue that this is one of, at least to date, his more sophisticated style parodies.
Oh, for sure. Like, for me, what's interesting is, and I think I've mentioned this about other things too, like definitely Mr. Popeil, where I was not even remotely aware of the B-52s until years later. And then when I heard the B-52s, I was like, that sounds like that weird. Oh, like, I was like, oh, okay. Yep, I got it. So, good, bad, or indifferent. By 1988, as far as the Police goes, I was still very much they were the Every Breath You Take band to me. Like I was aware that they had songs before that. I never owned Synchronicity or the records prior to that. When Every Breath You Take broke, I bought the 7-inch for it. So this was lost on me. Like, I liked the song, but what he was going for pastiche wise was completely lost on me until at least 3 or 4 years later, when I heard more of the Police. And then I literally, and it's so funny, it's the same thing with like the first time I heard the B-52s. Instead of a normal person's reaction, which would be like, oh, this is a great new band to me, like I was like, wait a minute. Like this is how that Weird Al song connects. Like, like
I remember when when Synchronicity broke and they were just absolutely huge, and going to the record store and always seeing new singles. And I remember seeing the single for King of Suede and getting excited because I had already had owned in 3D, but wasn't as familiar with seeing Weird Al 7-inches in the stores, and seeing that, on the same shelves as like, the Police, just like blew my mind. And when this album, when Even Worse had came out, and when I first heard the song, Velvet Elvis, I was like, I'm listening to it, I'm thinking, what's this? It kind of sounds like something, because back then you didn't think so much of songs being a style parody. It almost took a little, like, as a younger person, you knew of these artists because they were everywhere, but it wasn't really talked about in any interviews that he was doing these style parodies. And it wasn't until you get to the whoa-ohs that's like, that sounds like the Police. And then a friend of mine who is a musician, said, yeah, this sounds just like the Police. And I think that's, then it started to click with me with some of the other songs, like you mentioned, Mr. Popeil. I only knew of the B-52s because they only showed their videos at midnight on Sunday nights on MTV. You didn't see that stuff in regular rotation that often. And like pre-Love Shack B-52s. But that, like, those songs, you just didn't really know. Like, as kids, you didn't really know like this was like a style parody. And once I was old enough to realize that, I really started looking back at all those, and that's when all those songs became my favorites. And I stopped. I didn't stop listening to the parodies, but I found them to be far more entertaining.
Yeah, that's why. Like, when I became somewhere in the mid '90s, I became a really big Talking Heads fan, and then not long after that, I went back for a re-listen of Polka Party. And I was just overjoyed to realize, I was like, oh my God. He was doing, because, Dog Eat Dog does in no way sound like Burning Down the House, which was the only Talking Heads song I knew at the time that Polka Party came out. Right. So then years later, when I became a fan of, like, more in depth of the Talking Heads, when I went back and listened to the Polka Party album again, I was like overjoyed. So, like, same thing. Like, when I went back, I used to kind of listen to everything and be like, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something else I'm missing here. But the one thing I wanted to say that was kind of funny is you mentioned King of Suede. So I had said that I bought the 7-inch for Every Breath You Take, right? So when I got in 3D, I had no idea what King of Suede was, right? Because I hadn't heard the rest of the record and didn't know anything else. So not long after I got in 3D, I got a K-Tel compilation, like one of those records that has like 400 songs on one side. I
had like 100 of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love them. I love those. You talk about a time machine, man. You show me a cover of any one of those and I'm probably like, oh, I had that one.
Anytime we're at a record fair, you pull one out and show me. You're like, look at this. Look how many songs are on this. I'm like, I see it.
Yep. But I not long after I got,
you play it and you understand why there's 100 songs. So quiet.
Yeah, well, you understand more why they were $2.99, I think.
And the songs fade out like about 3/4 of the way.
Yeah, they're definitely radio edits, if that.
Yeah.
But it was not even 2 months after I got in 3D that I picked up one of those K-Tel pressings, and King of Pain was on it. And literally King of Pain starts, and I was like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, totally get it now. Like, cause I had never heard the song. So I heard King of Suede, like, for a solid 2 months before I ever even heard King of Pain. So in my world, the Police were doing a parody of Weird Al.
Sure.
Yeah. And not to stay too long on King of Suede, but I still remember my mom, who was a seamstress, and she worked in a fabric store, and she was explaining to me all the fabrics that he was talking about. And that's like one of those memories, because I would be singing along to these songs and I didn't know what I was even singing about.
You know what though? Like that's a really valid point it's specific. You're bringing it up specific to King of Suede, but that's one thing that's really, really valid about Weird Al songs as a whole. And we talked about this ad nauseum on this show, but the intelligence level. Like he doesn't just go after, oh, well, I'm going to say all these things and just because it rhymes and whatever, like your mom would know, you know what I mean? Like, and your mom was like, oh yeah, here's exactly what he's talking about, instead of being like,
no Google in 1984.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he went and found out what he was talking about for the whatever topic was at hand. And that's why I think a lot of the songs hold up so well.
Yes.
Like now you can go back and listen to them and they're still, because they were intelligently written, they hold up really well.
Yeah, for sure. And just a fun fact, since we were talking about King of Suede, Velvet Elvis marked the point where the Police actually got the trifecta, where they had a parody or in a polka and then got a pastiche done of them. So kudos to them for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably means more to them than anything.
I would think so. That's the highest honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you can get Stu Copeland to stop talking about himself for a minute, he'll probably move on and talk about this right after that.
I know. I recently had seen an interview as I was thinking about this coming up. I saw an interview that he did with Eddie Trunk.
Oh, wow. And was it
Eddie
both
Trunk
of them?
is literally sitting there in his studio or wherever he's at, like talking, and Stu Copeland can't be bothered to sit down and be interviewed. He's walking around and doing other stuff while he's being interviewed. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit and start tearing down Stuart Copeland, but he's a salty man.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I don't even know if that would be an interview with Eddie Trunk. It'd be like two guys just talking about how great they are.
I know. Just ask him.
Just ask him. Yeah. There was one point here recently. I was so relieved when the show finally occurred. Stu Copeland was here in Florida doing his, like, I play drums and also talk a lot show at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall. And I kept getting ads for it, like, all the time. And I would say, I don't want to see this ad. I don't want to see this ad. I don't want to see this ad. But because I follow the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall, it kept showing me the ad. I was like, I don't care. I'm not buying tickets for this.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. So to the topic, I guess the one thing that may date this song is the Velvet Elvis of it all. So you have to know what
it's
a Velvet
very
Elvis
70s
is.
Thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's you're both older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen Velvet Elvi.
I'll go with Elvi.
Elvi. I've seen them. Yeah. I've seen them in like tiki bars.
I had one on my bedroom wall as a kid
and stuff like that. What?
I still do.
We got it from the Dixieland flea market. Mine.
I was gonna. There were things that were, in talking about the Velvet Elvis and where to find him. People always used to say, "Oh, you find him on the roadside." But Russ, knowing your relationship with Michigan, I was gonna say you had to have been to Dixieland, and there's another place many like Metro Detroit area folk know about that had two locations, and that is the Gibraltar Trade Center.
I was going to say Gibraltar Trade Center.
Yeah, I wish those were still around because, or some people we call it the Dirt Mall,
right?
And at any given moment there was either a gun show going on or a sports card trading show going on. But then there's all these sellers. It's you guys are familiar with swap meets. I mean, I've listened to the show and and I've been to Tampa many times. I mean, I know you guys are in Jacksonville, but I had gone to quite a few flea markets with my cousin in Tampa, and there is no shortage of anything Velvet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not just like Velvet Elvis, like a big a lot of Native Americans looking concerned.
Topless women.
Yeah, a lot of topless women.
It's somebody painting probably their girlfriend or their fantasy, one or the other. Especially if there's a wizard involved or something.
I'm pretty sure it's the latter, my friend. I don't think anybody sitting
fantasy.
around. Yeah, I don't think anybody sitting around painting those things has what we in the business refer to as a girlfriend.
Right.
But fun fact. True. So when I was a kid, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the show or not. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and one of the things about the Jehovah's Witness faith is there's a weird misnomer out there there's a lot, but there's a weird misnomer out there that Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in Jesus, which is strange. They do, but they don't want anything to do with the cross. Like they don't
The iconography.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing I don't need to get into, but like according to the actual account, Jesus was actually not crucified on a cross. And so the witnesses are like, yeah, so let's not use that then. Right. So every single velvet Elvis painting that's out there has a necklace with him with a cross on it. Right. So my mom spent a significant amount of time trying to find one without a cross on it at the Dixieland flea market, and she never could. So she ended up buying, and this thing was huge too. Like a lot of times when you see a velvet Elvis, it's like 8x10 or like, 10x16. Like, oh, this thing was like 3 foot by 2 foot. I mean, it was huge, and it was right over my bed, like where you put your velvet Elvis.
Sure.
And, anyways, so my mom settled on one, and on the way home, she bought oil paint and she changed the cross into an EP.
Oh.
Yeah, that
clever.
way.
I like, nice.
She just rounded off the cross on one side and then put a line down the other and took it over. And I thought that was really creative.
That was really creative.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and I think Jesus would be proud.
As we're talking here, I'm in our chat that we had. I'm sending you a photo of the one that I have.
Oh, now I have to look.
This one does not have a cross.
Oh.
And mine was actually part of a set of 3. My dear friend Michelle, who I didn't mention that I do own and operate a small record label here.
Mm-hmm.
She originally started the label with me a number of years back, and she had gave me this be nice if I could actually find the photos here of. She gave me one of, I think it was, hers was the big centerpiece, and then there was 2 side pieces. She gave me one of the side pieces, and I've been meaning to ask her. She gave this to me like maybe 25, 26 years ago. So I would love to get my hands on the rest of them, but I think that one of her other friends had got the other one. And this thing has moved with me everywhere. I've moved around a lot here, and I've managed to keep it in just immaculate condition. It still looks great. The oil paint really holds up on these things, but no cross, but he is wearing a blue scarf.
I love that. And that actually leads me to one of the questions I had here on my notes about just kitsch culture in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do certain quote bad taste items become beloved like this? Because it's not fine art, and this we'll get into it when we discuss the meat of the song. But why do these things become so treasured?
So I would argue that, because I saw this on your on the outline, I would argue that it tastes like this shift, like any number of things that people nowadays covet in another 10 or 15 years are absolutely going to be looked at as like gaudy and like, oh, why did all of us have that in our house? That type of thing. And also you have to remember that, when Elvis Presley passed away in August of 1977, this was, far and away the biggest celebrity death to occur, like
Absolutely.
far and away. And then, and Lennon a close second 3 years later. Right. But people nationwide of like all walks of life loved Elvis Presley deeply, and he was an American thing. And I think that separated him from Lennon. And I think that's why a lot of people like started with the, like, for lack of a better word, like shrine, like a, this is my tribute to this guy, or, and like anything, all industries are only, covered by what the market will bear. Right. So people were pumping these paintings out because people were buying them in droves at the flea markets and the swap meets and so on and so forth, So, I think now, if anything, it's a thing that's endured, where people really, look back on them now. Like it's, insane to me that now they're like skyrocketing in price.
It's crazy.
And whatnot, but I would argue that like I say, I think there's plenty of things that people have in their homes now that like everyone has, that in another 15 years, people are going to be like, why did we all have this? Where like, I can squarely give you a reason why the entire nation was in mourning and like was attached to this person,
That's totally fair.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also people might've just been crazy and wanted something weird. I don't know.
I'd like to know.
That's just, let me say this. That's why I had him on my wall. Like, I mean, I've told this origin story a million times, but the first record I ever bought in my life was Elvis at Madison Square Garden. And it literally changed my life. Like, I'm sitting here now because of buying that record when I was 3. So when my mom decided that she wanted to put a, painting of Elvis in my bedroom, I'm like, yes, without having, I was whenever we bought that, 4 or 5 years old, I had no idea that this was a thing everybody else had. I just was all the way down with a giant painting of Elvis.
Absolutely.
In my bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to like figure out like when people started doing these things.
The greater majority of them that I've ever seen are always him in the 70s.
Yeah.
And a good amount of them are him like around the Aloha era. So it might have even started as early as like 73. But most of them that I've seen are all like a revering type one. Like there's a lot of them with like a tear, and almost always like looking up or like very sincerely like singing something. So that's why my guess is it was a like a memorial type thing.
But mine does show like a it could be a bead of sweat, but I'm pretty sure it's a tear rolling down.
Yeah.
But it goes down most of the cheek. But it's not very pronounced. It just, you can sort of just, it's just there. You see the track.
Oh yeah, I've got. I just saw the picture you sent. Yep, you'll have to include that in the Facebook post.
Okay, I will.
And they almost all of them have that same frame that you have on yours too, Scott.
Yeah,
like
that wood. It's very. It's not. I'll tell you, it's not a very sturdy frame.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've managed to keep it together for a long time.
Oh yeah, wow.
Without it ever falling apart. They're just stapled together on the back. I'm probably going to message Michelle after this. I want to find out if she still has the other one or ones, because I'm sure she wouldn't part with them. We were huge Elvis fans. We went to Graceland together a few times, and that's like, she was part of what kept me going on Elvis in the earlier part of the 2000s. I'd always been a big Elvis fan, and I love the early 70s Elvis. When people were poo-pooing it and saying, "Oh no, 50s Elvis is where it's at," I still love the 50s Elvis, but I was bored with it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I really preferred the crooner, and those songs. And it also just takes me back to a time, like I wasn't born until 1972, but it reminds me of the early 70s. I remember AM radio. I remember all these things that kind of go along with this, and it just, that style of like AM radio rock always resonated with me.
Yeah.
So that is my favorite Elvis, especially when I had I know we haven't really had a full discussion about this, but after Epic came out, that was, lately that's just kind of like brought it all full circle again. But just like the Elvis movie that Baz Luhrmann did, I absolutely love what they did to the music. Whereas some people get really upset about that and they gatekeep and whatever else. It's like, no, I don't mind that they used the Philharmonic or the orchestra version of Burnin' Love and sped it up a little bit and put it to some live footage of him performing it, because on that IMAX with that Dolby Atmos kicking, I was teary-eyed at the movies.
Oh,
so
I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Well, we saw that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
right?
we saw that 2 or 3 times in the theater, and it was, there was, I want to say, at least for me, and I've looked up a ton of Elvis footage over the years, and I want to say about 80% of that movie was brand new to me footage wise.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. And I feel the same way about the audio too. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, and I also looked into things afterwards too, because there were things that I didn't understand, like why not just use the live version of In the Ghetto and whatnot. And I've looked into it afterwards and found out that like this, that, or the other thing didn't hold up. So they couldn't,
Right.
and when you can't do, the original, then doing something or when you can't use the source audio, coming up with something new and original, I think does honor to the legacy of a person who was such an innovator.
Yeah,
I agree.
and it was so bombastic that while you're watching the film in a theater, like an IMAX theater, you're getting what it would feel like to be.
Oh, don't even get me
in that
started.
audience.
There was at least
so
2 or 3
bombastic.
points.
It was like,
Yeah.
oh, this, you think about how some of those recordings were like up until recently when they started reissuing more of, like, they had the live 1972 Elvis record that came out, the one with the blue suit on the cover. They finally started remastering some of this stuff, so that way those drums have more bottom, they have more kick to them, the bass it's thumping more, and when you're listening to it, it's like, oh my, see, now this is what I feel. I've had been missing all the years, and what would made Elvis such a force.
Yeah.
And the live performance.
I know it happened a couple of times, but the one I always think of for sure off the top of my head is, and Lauren witnessed this, the way that Epic is presented when he finished Polk Salad Annie. I almost jumped up and applauded in the theater, like we were at an Elvis show, though. Like, I want to be clear, I wasn't like, oh, this is a good film. Like, I literally almost jumped out of my seat as if he had just finished performing live in front of us. Like,
yeah.
And the way that they presented that is, and like, again, I know we have a song to discuss here. Like the way that you're hearing us talk about him, and Scotty would have been 5 when he passed away, and I was 2. You get an idea of now be, 20, 25 or whatever when he passed away. This is why the phenomenon came about.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good logical spot to throw it to what will probably be the first of 2 commercial breaks in this, just based on the length of this. And we're going to have to get more beer. Do you want to go? Or
I will run and get more beer.
Okay, they're in the beer fridge.
Yeah,
beer run.
They're living in the fridge.
Living in the fridge. You know where they are. All right, so we'll be here. We're going to throw it to some commercials. I hope you enjoy them. And we'll catch you on the other side. But yeah, we can chit chat while this happens because
okay.
I can cut whatever as long as I have blank space to know where it is.
on more recently, I've been hearing how people you guys are talking about how people will say like they're complaining about the ads and what they're hearing, and I know you guys are saying that it's whatever you're searching, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm not. My ads will play the same ones 3 or 4 over. And it's nothing I ever searched, like the Michigan Lottery or go to your local Kia dealership. And I'm like, and I don't care. I don't mind. But I was getting these ads a few months back where it was like some school in Ireland. And I'm like, I need to ask.
Why am I getting this ad?
And I didn't think about it being fed to me. I just thought, like, I didn't know how you did your like any type of sponsorships or anything like that, how that works.
I'll tell you what, though, it's better.
It's interesting, though.
It's better than, and I'll cut myself off here, but when my original Facebook account got hacked and I had to start over literally from scratch, do you know how many different ways I have had to tell Facebook over and over and over and over that I don't care about sports, I don't care about politics, and I don't care about religion, and like not like sports, politics, and religion, but like everything it keeps throwing at me is like divisive versions. Right.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, you might be a Christian and here's a thing that might lift you up. Like, it's like, hey, you might be a Christian and here's a thing that'll make you angry, right. Like, and like, you live in Jacksonville. Here's some things that somebody said about the Jaguars. I bet you're mad, and like, you know what I mean? And like, I literally just have to everything over and over and over. I just have to keep being like, nope, 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 nope,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But anyway.
Yeah, let's go back into the episode.
And we're back.
And we're back. Man.
Yeah.
Man in the can, get back in that can.
Woo.
Yeah.
So now we're actually going to talk about the song.
We have to.
I'm glad I got to see that happen. She did the thing.
I did do the thing that I got from the other thing that he likes to do.
Sometimes we have to put the link to that in the notes or something. The SNL sketch that's from.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen that, Scotty? The SNL sketch. It's from an episode that Ben Stiller hosted. Ben Stiller. Ben Affleck hosted. And the very short version is that he's just some morning DJ. It's like a 90s shock DJ, right? And him and
Jimmy Fallon.
Oh yeah, Fallon's
the main DJ.
Yeah, they're competing DJs. And by way of a long story, it ends up in a lot of, and we're back.
They keep going to commercial because they each have like multiple voices that they do, so it's very, very funny.
And it's and we're back on the morning wood, And then why you got Andrea doing the traffic, dude? She works for the station, stuff like it's just it's
great.
It's really
great.
funny. Like it's
I love SNL. I still do.
Yeah, it's
follow it.
Yeah, it's when they have stuff over the years that like you just latch onto that like one thing, that sticks with you. And, I mean, no matter what market you grow up in, you always have that shock jock 90s thing happening. But the moment that I heard that, I was like, this is all three radio stations in Detroit in the 90s at the same time
at once.
Yeah.
They all do it. It's all exactly the same. It's all exactly the same.
Well, that's in the mid 90s. I moved to Tampa for a couple of years, and like I could have swore that I hadn't moved from Detroit when I turned on morning radio. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
it's like you realize it's like the same everywhere you go.
Yeah. I was like, wait, this is exactly the same thing that Drew and Mike were doing in Detroit. Like,
right. I've been rewatching Parks and Rec lately, and
I've done about 4 rewatches of that.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of it, and I just encountered the first episode with Crazy Ira and the douche.
Yeah,
and so it's
so good.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Family Guy, Dingo and the Baby.
Yeah, and they always have like somebody in the background that's like some like just withdrawn teen that's like some intern not happy to be there, having to push the button for every moan or anything suggestive, fart sounds.
Yep. And
their expression never changes.
No, just to pull it into a thing that is a running joke in our house. There's an episode of Frasier where there are shock jocks that come onto Frasier's radio station, and they're Carlos and the chicken, and they bring Frasier into like a whole bunch of things too. So like it's all the same. It's all the same. Like everybody does exactly that. So I love it. But anyway, Velvet Elvis.
Yeah.
So like to the meat of the song, the summary of the song for those who don't know, and if you've made it to this point in this episode and you don't know the song Velvet Elvis, I ask you, what have you been doing this whole time? Why have you gotten this far? But yeah, so the narrator discovers a Velvet Elvis at a swap meet and he becomes completely obsessed. And I think based on the first 40 minutes of this show, one could understand why one might be obsessed with a Velvet Elvis. I personally, I'm not obsessed with the Velvet Elvis, but it became my mission to find one for Russ because we don't have one. And the closest I could get was a tapestry. That's now hanging in your office. And did you have that at some other point before?
Yeah. I used to have that because they reprint that. It's not quite those, those really thin, like Led Zeppelin cloths you see on sale at, well, to be really specific to Detroit at Rock of Ages over in 5 Mile. But it's not that. It's actually made of cloth, but it's a thing that you see regular. They're actually again with Michigan, way out at M59, right around where like Waterford extends and becomes Highland. There's a Graceland party store, and the first time in my life I saw that thing that's now hanging in our in my office, they had several of them hanging from the ceiling when I went in there, and I was like, you guys selling those? And they were like, no. So I had to like get one off of eBay. But yeah,
That's where I got yours.
yeah. But yeah, there's a party store out in out near Highland called the Graceland Party Store, and it's all, they have like behind the counter, they have like every Elvis decanter that there was from the 70s and all that stuff up there. And yeah.
For those who may not be familiar with the Michigan vernacular, a party store is a liquor store.
Yes.
Yeah, where you
liquor store, beer store,
where you go get the party from.
Yeah,
that's good. It's the party is in the store. Everything you need is there.
That's true.
I always forget that about people that aren't from Michigan. Like any coworkers that used to come to Michigan, or like when we are up in Michigan for concerts or family affairs or whatever else, I always say to Lauren, like, "Oh, we'll run to the party store," and she's like, "The do what now?" And I'm like, "The party store."
Yeah.
Like,
in fairness, in Pennsylvania, we call the liquor store the state store because they're run by the state.
Oh my gosh,
So,
it's like the government cheese store.
Yeah. I grew up thinking that liquor was state. You know, because my dad would say, "Oh, we got to go to the state store," and so I thought, because you can only get wine and liquor at the state store, and you can only get beer at a beer distributor.
Yeah.
So I always grew up thinking that liquor was state because that's the state store where you buy state. But no,
but yeah,
it's not.
So it's
they need to join the party.
They really do need to join the or just get with the PART program and call it the liquor store because that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, there's that too. I always love the liquor stores when you drive by them. It just says liquor.
Yep.
That's it. Nothing else. Just liquor.
Right.
I love a drive-through liquor.
Oh yeah, down here we got plenty of drive-through liquors.
Yeah.
And actually, this is
this
is a bit from the very first time I ever saw Drew Carey in my life, which was on MTV's Half-Hour Comedy Hour back in the late 80s. But he was like, wow, you guys got drive-through party stores here. That's for the drunk driver who's constantly on the go, which I thought was great. But, you know, so
I think he used that on the show at one point, too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's kind of like the Cosby Show. Like the whole first season is from like the stand-up, you know?
Right.
But it's so when we were talking about like obviously like how easy it is for people like me and Scotty to like just accidentally fall right into like, oh, well, I'm going to talk about my Elvis fandom instead. Right. So what's funny about this song is that like I could identify with everything that he was saying in the song about like being obsessive about Elvis. Right. But I didn't know that like the Velvet Elvis thing was like a cultural thing when Even Worse came out. Like I knew that I had one on my wall and I knew that they sold them at the Dixieland flea market, but like my world culturally did not extend very far past the Dixieland flea market. You know what I mean? Like, you know, 1988, I was 13, you know? So like, I didn't, you know, I went as far as my parents would take me. So, and there was nowhere else that sold them. Right. So like for me, hearing this song, it was very strange. Well, first of all, again, as I said at the top, I didn't get the police connection at all, like off the top. Right. Then.
Yeah. That part is the part to me that's the only confusing part of the song is why the police?
Why is it? Yeah, I agree with that. Like for example,
I get all the lyrics.
Like for example, if you take something like Mission Statement or again, you know, to go back to the well, but Dog Eat Dog, like there's nothing less corporate than those two bands. So I understand why Mission Statement is like, it's like this band would never in 1 million years sing about this, right? And you know, the Talking Heads, never in 1 million years would David Byrne be concerned with or happy about anything to do with an office environment.
Climbing the corporate ladder.
Yeah. So like for me, that's part of the joke of those. And I didn't think about that until you just said that right now, that like, I don't know. Lauren looks like she's having a thought though.
I think I might know. I think I might know. So the song Synchronicity 2 is about a little peon in the corporate world being very dissatisfied with his life, right? It's a humiliating kick in the crotch. And that song about the mundane of an average person's life is treated with such gravitas that it holds more weight than something like that ought, right? Because Russ, every time that song comes on our playlist, I always say, I love the line, we have to shout above the din of our Rice Krispies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so profound in a beautiful, beautiful way. So then if you think about the fact that Weird Al is doing a style parody of Synchronicity era Police about somebody who is taking something as kitschy as a Velvet Elvis and giving it means much more to him than some old Picasso or Van Gogh, right? He's holding that with the same gravitas that Synchronicity 2 holds a mundane office life.
Yeah, I that's far more on the nose than I would have gone with it. Yeah.
So there you go,
I
Weird Al
agree.
podcast listeners. That's my big thought for the episode.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we did it.
Got to the meat of the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so when this came out, I was just like, for me, I was like, how odd
Yeah.
that he's singing about Velvet Elvis. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, I did not know that other people knew about this at all.
So
Yeah.
to that, I had to look it up, and this gives me a chance to use my button.
Wait a minute, I'll go check.
Love it. I love that.
I had to go look. So, Velvet Elvis paintings became popular mass market decor in the 1970s. So before he passed away, but it was happening and obviously took off more after the fact. Painting on velvet is an ancient technique. The iconic pop culture Velvet Elvis phenomenon took off as a tourist trend in Mexican border towns like Tijuana and Juarez during the height of the 1970s. So
That doesn't surprise me. And
Yeah.
at least in
They were
South-
always known as being like a roadside sale type
Yeah.
thing to begin
Mhm.
with, too.
yes, and so to that point, and I love what Weird Al actually like does with this. Seeing the success of earlier velvet art, because velvet art was a thing, in the 30s and even beforehand. Entrepreneurs opened factories in Mexico where artists hand painted velvet pieces using an assembly line method, and they would paint things like Elvis Presley and dogs playing poker.
Oh yeah, I've seen I've seen a lot of
Absolutely. Which gets referenced in the song.
Yes.
But yeah, it doesn't surprise me though about like the Native American or like Southern U.S. Origins of it, with the massive Native American population in Southeast Michigan, for like us to see a mass influx of them at the time that we did. That doesn't surprise me at all. Then
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So it's like one of the notes that I have here is the humor comes from the mismatch between the narrator's passion and the object itself. Right? Like,
Absolutely.
I just think that's great. So I feel like we have to dig into the lyrics a little bit. So I would like to ask about some favorite lyrics and moments in the song. I mean, for me, I absolutely love the idea of him creating his own private Graceland and his own little shrine to the king.
Mhm.
And I don't want nothing else, and I don't need anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, this is all I need. This is all I need is just this painting.
Yeah, it's funny the bit about covering the hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why my mom decided that we were putting a painting there is because whomever owned the house before we did, there was an odd framing on the wall of that bedroom, which became my bedroom. There was like an odd framing on the wall, and my mom was like, "Well, I want to put a painting there," so that's why she wanted to put a painting there. And then like I don't know if it was like determined that it was going to be Elvis, or if we were just in the flea market and she saw that and that's what became, or what. But it wasn't a hole in the wall, but it was predetermined that it was going somewhere by like what was already on the wall.
Yeah, because it had to cover something up.
And
something up.
then I demanded that my bed be moved directly underneath it.
Yeah. So he would look over you
Yes.
while you slept?
Yep. Like you do.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Then the reference of other novelty items and home decor obviously don't need no lava lamp, Don't need no soap on a rope. No pictures of Mexican kids with those big eyes and the dogs playing poker. The Mexican kids with the big eyes.
Those one of my grandparents, they had one of those paintings in their basement. They had like one of those fireplaces in the basement. And I don't even know if it was real. I think it was a gas fireplace, but they had a pool table down there. There was a mounted deer head, and there was the matador, like the mod 60s matador with the the skinny little legs and the
Sure.
and then there was the Mexican kids with really big eyes.
So have you seen that movie Big Eyes about those paintings?
Is it a documentary?
No, it's a movie. It stars hold on, I've got it pulled up. It stars Amy Adams and Christoph Waltz. So
that's what that movie's about?
Yeah, those paintings.
I've only heard of it by name, and that was it.
So the husband, real life Walter Keane, he was selling those paintings under his name, and they became this big pop culture phenomenon. Turns out his wife, Margaret, was the one painting them all along, and she actually, spoiler alert for the movie, I mean, it's a good movie, you should watch it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to.
But she won a lawsuit because she was like, at some point she got fed up and she was like, I did those. And she won the lawsuit because the judge made them paint in front of
in the courtroom.
And he couldn't do it.
Wow. Yeah, I want to check that out now.
Yeah.
I never knew that movie was about that.
Yeah, it's a Tim Burton film, so like it's really done visually super duper well, and so I kind of love that it gets mentioned at the time in a Weird Al song, because like that hadn't happened to it yet, because it was it was still all going on, and then later it all comes out. It was like, oh no, he didn't paint those, she did, and she's the reason why he ended up making all this money and why it became this big kitsch thing. But yeah, like they're weird, like creepy, but also beautiful,
yeah,
kind of things. And it's interesting that they get lumped in with the Velvet Elvis of it all, because I mean, they were kind of almost mass produced, because he basically was like, wife, paint me more things to sell that I can say that I did. So I just think that's absolutely wild. Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking at my notes for the favorite lyrics and moments. I
know mine.
Go for it.
Mine is check out those Cybirds. There's nothing greater. Wow. The second part of the line is what got me as a kid. And he says, you can tell that he's no Velvet Elvis imitator.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so funny and clever when I was a kid, because it was around the mid to late 80s. That's when you really started to see Elvis impersonators become a thing. Especially, like the portly chum in the white jumpsuit, it's like that's what everyone just started to think of Elvis as that guy. The sunglasses that he only wore like once or twice that became super iconic. These sunglasses.
Oh, he's got them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's seen it, but yeah, this is those. He only been seen in those a few times from what I remember. I remember going to Graceland, and they were selling all the Elvis various all his eyewear, and some of these, like you were hard pressed to find a photo with any of them. But the Elvis, the Velvet imitator, that was, I thought, the greatest line ever, because it works so well, and it was just such a big thing. You always just saw some guy, in a cheap Elvis suit doing karate kicks or something like that. And as a kid, I just thought that was, incredible, and I still do.
Yeah. I muted myself because I had to cough, and then I didn't unmute myself, and now I'm back. But yeah. I absolutely love the line, he's so fuzzy, he's so great. I don't know why, but every time that song comes on, I go, he's so fuzzy, he's so great. It's just like
great.
It's just perfect to me. I don't know.
I do like it. It's some of the things, like, he means much more to me than when you mentioned, like some old Rembrandt or Van Gogh. Yeah. Old Rembrandt, some old Rembrandt, some priceless painting. I don't need that. I need this.
I need this. I need this. I don't care who painted it. It doesn't matter because nobody ever knows. It just is what it is. And this means so much to me. And I love that it's like this priceless thing. But then to your point about the hole in the wall, it also serves a utilitarian purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
It's good for something.
Yep.
I don't have a specific lyric that's like a favorite in this, but I will say, like, again, as a person who at the time didn't know that this was a phenomena or anything, and like, this was another example as a kid of like Weird Al taking on a subject with making fun with instead of, because there's a million different ways he could have done this song where he could have like insulted the whole idea of a Velvet Elvis or Velvet or Elvis fans, or why would you be so obsessed with this guy, or why would you even get, you know, a painting like that? And as a kid who was a huge fan of Weird Al and obviously a huge fan of Elvis, like that could have been like very upsetting to me, you know, and, you know, there's a lot of absurdity in this song, but again, I feel strongly that it's making fun with and not of, you know, like there's no point in it where I've ever felt like, I should have felt bad for having that on my bedroom wall or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, you think about, you know, a lot of Weird Al stuff up to this point, and we've praised so many times on this show songs that are just built up of like rapid fire punchlines and just like really quick wordplay. And I like that this relies more on visual comedy and nuance than like too much rapid fire stuff. So I think that's important to like note the, not necessarily growth, but like, let's say evolution of lyrically kind of what he was doing and would then continue to do.
Yep.
So the music. Yes. So the musical similarities to the Police. One cannot ignore Weird Al's Sting-inspired vocal phrasing.
Yep.
He does such a good job of this without doing a Sting impression. And I mean, you could also argue that he doesn't do a Sting impression on King of Suede either. He just kind of hits the phrasing. Not so much like the tone.
Well, I'd say the thing with King of Pain is that Sting doesn't really do like his trademark high stuff in it till the end. And on the outro, like as King of Suede is fading, Weird Al hits the same high notes as Sting does. So, but this also, like if you're looking at the songs that this is kind of directly doing a parody of, Sting doesn't do his.
He doesn't go high.
His trademark high voice in those. So, I like, not that you were saying Weird Al couldn't do it, but it wasn't necessary to what he was doing here.
Right. Well, it's like we talked about on the last episode with Nick about Alimony and the Billy Idol of it all. You know, Weird Al was doing an homage to Billy Idol without doing an impression of Billy Idol.
Yep.
So, and you've got the reggae influenced rhythms, the atmospheric guitar textures and layered harmonies that just, this is unmistakably Synchronicity era Police once you realize that's what it is and once you know what Weird Al's up to.
Yeah, and tying those things together and going back to even a line that Scotty quoted too, there are times in the early Sting or early Police catalog where Sting at some points has mistaken himself for a person of color with his pronunciation, you know? Yeah. And what I like is I do feel like Weird Al pokes fun at that a little bit with his phrasing, but not enough to be, again, offensive or anything. But the one that sticks out to me is the line that Scotty quoted, the way he says, imitator. Like, that's like,
Velvet Elvis, imitator.
Like, that's Sting just being like, yeah, look at me. I'm Raga, as Sting says it, I'm certain. You know, and you know, Weird Al, the way his character says it is also mistaking himself for a person of color, you know, like, it's like, no, you know, but, and again, going back to the point I made earlier, I don't think it's at all meant to be like, yeah, isn't Sting an idiot? I think he's just going like, you get this, right? That I'm singing this in the style of Sting.
Yeah.
For
sure. So it's just straight up question. Because we talked a little bit earlier in the episode about, until you realize what a style parody is, you don't necessarily get this, but now getting it and understanding it and like knowing how great Al's band is, how accurately do they capture the sound of the Police, do you think?
Oh, I think very. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, Scotty, if you're more familiar. Like, I'm very still surface level with the Police.
I am as well, but I've listened to enough of it throughout the years. Almost 40 years of working in music and record stores. I've heard them all. And the production is spot on. That sound that it's got that crisp production that like the Police would have for real snappy drums, the very 80s like new wavy guitar tones that Andy Summers had. It's all over that song. And then right down, I was thinking about this. I listened to the song a few times over this morning to just to make sure I was completely familiar with it again, even though it only had been a few months since the last time I heard it. I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, did Andy Summers do stuff like that in the guitar solo? Because the solo is more like tremolo noise.
Yeah.
Like him just like almost like making noise. And now I thought, now I got to go back and listen to more Police again just to see, because I want to hear at what point in time and what song that some of these parts were borrowed from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they have to exist. I find it in everything. I remember on one of your episodes, it was for I think it was just one of those days.
Okay. Yeah.
The Kinks
yes.
The Ducks on the Wall.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'd heard that song years ago, but that's on a Kinks album that, a 70s record that, I don't think it did much. And I was listening to that song. I thought, oh my gosh, there's so many Weird Al songs that have that same sort of just mid 70s rock and roll feel, but without it being like taken from something so noticeable that it sounds like it's being ripped off.
Right. It's like
and that song in particular, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I hear that a lot in a lot of the Weird Al songs, but now older I go, oh, it's so good. That's an homage, it's not ripping off, like my friends used to say, like, oh, he's just stealing from so and so, and you're like, nah, not really. No. He genuinely likes the artist that he's doing these.
Right.
These style parodies.
You can't do this if you don't genuinely love what's going on. It's like another one with the Kinks is Don't Wear Those Shoes and Father Christmas.
Yes. Dude. Yeah. Don't Wear Those Shoes. There's a Father Christmas. I will very boldly say that I will put the Cheap Trick version of that song up against any version of that song out there. It is so good. I'll boldly say that I will put Cheap Trick's Christmas album that you can listen to at any time of the year as solid as any of their albums. And when they get to their version of Father Christmas, it's like, this is so good, but it's Don't Wear Those Shoes.
Yeah.
I'm missing the keyboards when I hear it.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Don't Wear Those Shoes is one of my favorites. If I can pause again on Velvet Elvis, Polka Party. I know it was discussed greatly when you guys did the album. When I pre-ordered my copy of Squeezebox, that was my test pressing that I took. When you were able to pick the test pressing that you wanted.
Yeah.
Is Polka Party to me was a weird time, pun intended, I guess. It was a weird time because I expected it to be massive. And I was a paper boy and I was listening to a lot of heavy metal, but I still loved Weird Al. And I remember going to the mall before I did my paper route, bought Polka Party, put it in my Walkman, delivered my papers, and was laughing the entire time. And then only to find out it had it charted low. That Living with a Hernia was not the hit. That record has got some of my faves on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's special to me because I couldn't drive yet. but I was just about ready to. Well, I could drive by the time Even Worse came out, and I remember picking up my cousin and one of her friends for school, and having taped my vinyl for the the car ride to school. But Polka Party to me is like, that record was genius.
Oh, I think
and I was worried it wasn't going to get any better than that.
Yeah.
It's the most
Then
underrated
Even Worse came out.
record in his catalog. But I do have to ask you though, because this is one thing we've never talked about since we grew up in the same area. Where did you buy your copy of Polka Party from?
Well, so I actually grew up in mid-Michigan in a city called Essexville. It's up near Bay City in the
Okay.
Saginaw, Bay City area, the Tri-Cities, Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, Flint. So that's
Gotcha.
really like 4 cities, right? So I bought mine at Camelot Music. We
Oh,
had
right on.
Camelot Music stores all over mid-Michigan and northern Michigan
Mhm.
and western Michigan. They didn't have them in the Detroit area.
Nope.
And when I worked for Camelot in the 90s, I learned that they didn't have any stores around here because the owners of the company at the time made bad on a deal with some mall owner that owned all these malls. So they kept Camelot Music stores out of the Detroit area, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's where I bought all my records and tapes and CDs from. And then I ended up working in one in Saginaw.
Right on.
But that's where I bought Polka Party from. That's where I bought In 3D. That's where I bought the self-title. That's where I bought Peter and the Wolf. That's where I bought UHF, all those.
Right on.
Do you still have Peter and the Wolf?
I certainly do.
Guess what? I got one. Since
Yes.
we last talked. I don't physically have it yet. I got it from a friend of ours who lives in Columbus, Ohio. And I had seen it in a Weird Al group that a record store in Columbus, Ohio had a copy. And I was like, oh, we got a friend in Columbus. And so anyway, he went and picked it up for me. And he's coming down here to Tallahassee. He's coming down to Tallahassee when we're going to drive over to Tallahassee to see Weird Al in Tallahassee at the end of September. So I'm finally going to physically have this thing that I purchased in December. So I will have that now. So I will be complete.
I used to make mixtapes for friends of mine all the time, and between the Motorhead songs and whatever rock songs, I always would slip in stuff from Carnival of the Animals Part 2, and the Poodle was my favorite one to always put in there.
That's great. I'm so excited. I think we're going to do the meet and greet for that show as well, because the copy that I got, somebody at some point wrote store copy on the cover of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take
this is the vinyl.
Yeah. And I'm going to take it and have Al cross out store and write Lauren's copy and then sign it.
Yes.
So that it'll be official that it's mine. All mine. It's mine, all mine. Right? To get it back to Velvet Elvis. So we were talking a little bit about, you had mentioned Polka Party and stuff like that, and style parodies that Al was doing up to that point. So I'd love to take a minute and compare Velvet Elvis to other great style parodies that Al has done up to this point in his career, like Dog Eat Dog, You Make Me, Mr. Popeil. So I'm going to let this open discussion happen while I go to the bathroom because I have to pee.
That's not a giant surprise.
Not at all.
This is not an ad break.
You're right. It's funny for me because, like, for me, these are all like retroactive. Like I said, like I went back and got them afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I always liked the songs as it was, and then like once I got the joke, I re-loved the songs.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy. And I don't know, like for me, of the three she mentioned, I think it'd be like a two-way tie between Dog Eat Dog and Mr. Popeil, because like for me, the first time, and I've mentioned this on the show before, but the first time I ever heard the B-52s was on before MTV had 120 minutes. They had a show called Postmodern MTV.
I remember.
Yeah, and they played Channel Z, which I know is off the same record as Love Shack, but I strongly prefer Channel Z to really anything. That's probably my favorite B-52
That's
song
the
overall.
closest song of that from that album from when they broke big. That was sort of like still of the old style
Right. Yeah.
Just, going back to,
Yeah.
like the first couple records.
Well,
Cosmic
and like I
was
say,
very much going to be a pop hit.
Yeah, and it was enough for me to go, wait a minute, and go back to Mr. Popeil,
Yeah.
And then by that time I had already knew enough about the Talking Heads to where I went back and listened to Dog Eat Dog. But like, I mean, if the question is how does this stack up, I think this is, if you're going so far in his career, I think this is right up there. Like, I don't think it should be discounted in any way.
No, exactly. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask that question. I'm not sure exactly what got discussed while I was in Lelou. It didn't take me all that long. This was real time. I didn't cut anything, people. I pee that fast. But like I feel like his prowess at kind of getting an artist's entire style encapsulated in one song just kept getting better and better and better and better up to this point. And then, Russ, like I absolutely know that you love later on in his career. And I mean, I love it too, obviously. CNR or My Own Eyes.
Yeah, I think that's...
I was just going to say CNR for the White Stripes. And one that I think maybe a lot of his fans weren't familiar with, but I was very familiar with was Lame Claim to Fame.
That's
Southern Culture on the Skids. I loved that band. I saw them so many times. And when I heard that, I went, oh my gosh, he's doing Southern Culture on the Skids. And then when I knew, without an interview that was definitely from them. And then when he finally said, oh, I love this band Southern Culture on the Skids, I'm like, perfect.
I would
validated.
Argue that First World Problems is probably lost on a lot of folks too.
Yeah,
I think.
Like Pixies.
Yeah, the moment I heard that, I was like, oh my Lord, he's doing the Pixies. But what Lauren said about
video is the best.
Oh yeah. But what Lauren said about First World Problems, My Own Eyes, man, like I like the Foo Fighters. I do too. I do. And man, and I'm a huge Jack White fan. But I have said to people so many times, hey, do you want to hear every song he's ever written all at once? Or with the same with the Foo Fighters. I've told people before, hey, would you like to hear every single Foo Fighters song all at once?
When I first heard In My Own Eyes, I that was one of those songs where I'm like, this feels like the Foo Fighters. And then when they do that pause and he hits the chord and it goes, it's like, oh my God, it's Dave Grohl all the way. Like that's what he would do. That's his sound. It's his style, and nailed it. It's so funny. Good.
I have a friend who, very surface level Weird Al. Like he knows the parodies and that's it. And he really doesn't even know like all of them. He knows probably, White and Nerdy and Saga Begins, like he's very, very, very surface level. And I was trying to explain to him the majesty of the style parody. And I was doing it via text, and he's a pretty big Foo Fighters fan. And then it hit me. I was like, oh wait, okay, you'll get it with this. So I sent him a link to My Own Eyes, and he said, like halfway through, he's like, I just kind of decided that like this is a Foo Fighters song that I'd never heard before. And I told Lauren that. I said, CNR is one of my favorite White Stripes songs.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my
Virus Alert's one of my favorite Sparks songs.
Yeah. First of all, dude, don't even get me started on Sparks. Everything they're doing now. Have you heard Sparks like latest stuff?
I haven't heard the newest stuff, but I always liked Sparks a lot, and I was always familiar with them because growing up in the 80s, I had discovered Cream magazine, out of Detroit, and all the bands I loved, like, Russ knows I'm a massive Alice Cooper fan, and all the bands that were around at of the early days of Alice Cooper, like the glitter rock bands, Sweet, T-Rex, and Bowie. But Sparks were always lumped in there. You always saw these ads for Sparks records. I'm like, who is this? And then when I heard This Town Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us, that was where some of my friends drew the line. Like I can't listen to this, but I was like, I'm listening. This is kind of cool. I can hear beyond the falsetto. And as the years went on, and they kind of became a little bit more, I would say techno, but more of a synth band. I always appreciated all that. So that worked for me. And then one of my favorite bands, Red Cross, Stephen McDonald, was playing bass for them for a long time.
Mm.
And that was, they're just one of those bands that I marvel at the fact that they are the age that they are still creating music that is interesting to listen to.
Yeah. I mean, every time I see that a new Sparks song got like released and they put a video out about it on YouTube, I'm like, holy moly. You know,
Yeah.
What's the name of the song? It's on The Girl Is Crying in Her Latte. It's it's the one with the baby where he realizes life is terrible. Oh, it's called Nothing Is As Good As They Say It Is. And it's told from the point of view of like a baby that was just born and was like, crap, this sucks. You know, and I think that's just fantastic. And they're so clever and so smart. And it's not even a dotted line. It's a straight line between Sparks and Weird Al. Like the fact that he would pay homage in that way with a style parody type situation. It's like, this makes all the sense in the world that they're an influence of his, because, you know, he's still doing stuff. They're still doing stuff. It's like the longevity of the seriousness of whimsy is what lives on. Like that's what sticks. And I just love it so much.
Oh, I know. It always bums me that there hasn't been more new Weird Al for the last decade or so. However, I'm satisfied with everything that we have.
We're getting things in different ways.
Yes, absolutely. But when the polka came out, was it last year?
2024, because it was 10 years.
I can't believe it's been 2 years already. That song is still fresh to me, and I still, when I hear it, all the small things in the songs that make me just continually laugh and want to play it for everybody. The slow whistle thing on Uptown Funk gets me every time. And when I was watching an interview where he was talking about how they spent all this time trying to record to get that and it's so funny when you're listening to it and you just focus in on that. And having been someone that I've worked with numerous bands, I've been in the studio tons of times and been with my own bands, and just like the time you spend working on something, but to be a fly on the wall,
right? During that,
doing that, and you know that there's no way that they could have been like tense and serious about, we got to get this right. You know, this long slide whistle.
Yep. Yeah.
It's so good.
I love it. Well, you know what?
We need that in Velvet Elvis.
We do. Well, we need so much. And I think we're very lucky and fortunate in the fact that you are going to be back sooner rather than later, probably sooner than other than Russ, because Russ is not even a guest on this show anymore. Russ is part of this show now.
Yes.
But you're going to be back in 2 episodes to discuss Good Old Days, to wrap up this album, which I think is great. And between now and then, my stepson, Russ's son, Zach, will be here to do an episode on Twister. Which,
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, we're going to make a very long episode out of a very short song. We're going to have a very good time. I mean, we've made a very long episode out of this one, if I'm being completely honest. But
yeah, plus there's the whole Twister tie into the MJ movie and everything.
It's going to be a whole conversation. It's going to be delightful. But before I wrap all of this up, I want to try something where I throw something out to the folks listening to this. If I want to ask my listeners a question. If you had to build a shrine around one piece of pop culture memorabilia, what would it be? And if you feel so inclined, share a picture of that or an image, or just comment on whatever social media you feel so inclined to do so, because I'd love to see that and shout it out when we talk about it later. I think that would be fun, because our house is a shrine to all sorts of things that we enjoy. My office where we're sitting right now is absolutely a shrine to Weird Al. I'm staring at a wall of a whole bunch of Weird Al stuff. So, that's probably what I would do. Um, so I'd love to see what other folks listening would do. It doesn't have to be Weird Al. It could be whatever you want it to be. But Scotty, did you have
Yes.
anything in particular you'd like folks to check out, listen to, know, follow, do all of that stuff? Because I like to throw that kind of thing out at the end for folks to say, like, hey, check this out.
Well, hey, I do have, like I mentioned earlier, that I do run a record label called Bellyache Records. I've been running it for, well, it's actually, this is our 20-year anniversary, but I'm not one for anniversaries apparently, because I didn't do much to celebrate their first release. I do have a new single that's coming out, that's going to be out in a few weeks from one of the artists, and his name is Ryan Roxy. He is a guitar player in the Alice Cooper band, which I have a Alice Cooper Weird Al connection to. In fact, when Weird Al we came to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I was going to see him on the Vanity tour, the first one.
Oh, the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity tour. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That morning, I get a call from Ryan, and he says, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing today?" And I'm like, "I'm actually I'm at home, and I'm going to be going to see Weird Al. I have VIP to meet Weird Al. I'm excited about this." He goes, "Oh man, well, we have a day off, and whenever the Alice travels, they go between Toledo, or they'll stay somewhere in between the last stop and the next stop."
Right.
Well, they were staying in Toledo, Ohio, and which is fairly close, to Detroit. And he says, "Well, we're staying in Toledo today, and Alice and Cheryl, his wife, we're going to go up to Detroit for lunch." He's like, "You want to join us for lunch?" I'm like, "What time?" And he gives me this time. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm leaving for Weird Al." And he goes, "Oh, when you see Weird Al, tell him I said Albuquerque. He'll know." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me what's up." And a few years prior, Al had played one of Alice's manager, Shep Gordon, played his he does like a New Year's fundraiser in Hawaii, in Maui, and the Alice Cooper band backed up Al, and they played Albuquerque.
Oh, that's
well.
Rad.
They learned the song. They figured it's not for rock stars. It wasn't difficult for them to figure out. But they played the song. It got done. They did the whole thing. Boom, 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 and then it ended. It was like crickets, apparently. And they said that they went over everyone's head. Like, Al thought it would be really cool if I'm going to get up there, instead of doing a handful of my songs, or a handful of parodies, why don't we just do this song? It's like 10 minutes long. So they did it, and Ryan's recounting the story to me over the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is oh no, I don't know if I want to bring that up to him.
Right.
So that night, we're at the VIP, and I think 3/4 of the audience bought the VIP package. So I'm with Nick, who everyone will hear did on the Alimony episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting in line, and as we're getting closer and closer to Al, he's just set up at this little table, and there's these people, and they're like, they looked like they shouldn't have been there. They're like in furs and nice clothes, and you can smell the cologne and perfume and see the jewelry. And they were part of the Ann Arbor Art Society.
Oh,
And they wanted to meet Al. And the person running the meet and greet was like, "Yeah, you're going to have to wait. These people paid for this." They go, well, they kept flashing their tickets, which were these printed off pieces of paper, and they turned out to be comps. So they got them for free. Then they said, "We're members of the Ann Arbor Art Society, and we support this theater." And this argument kept escalating, and to the point where, as we're getting closer, I'm looking at Nick, and I'm like thinking, "Oh man, this is going to mess up our chance, to talk to Al." Well, it did the opposite. And when it was my turn to sit down next to Al, and they would just take your photo, and he would sign your thing, and off you went. I sat down, and this person that was running the VIP went to deal with these people. And so my time with Al lasted like 5-6 minutes ish.
That's
Wow.
And I'm telling him, so I was talking to my friend Ryan Roxy this morning, and he said, Albuquerque. Al puts his hand in his palms, and he's like, "Do you know the story?" And I go, "I just heard it this morning." And he goes, "Well, let me tell you." And he tells me verbatim the same story, and only ends it with, then once it was done, he goes, "I felt so bad. No one knew the song, like in the audience." And then Alice's manager, Shep Gordon, said, I don't think that's one of the hits. And he's doing this Shep Gordon impersonation. And in the Alice Cooper fandom, everyone knows who Shep Gordon is. He's got this deep voice. He's been Alice's manager since Alice's career started. And it was just so funny. And Al was like, I was like, he's like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. And then we took our photo, and you look at this photo and we look like we were best friends. Because we shared this moment. And the whole time Nick's standing there, because I think he took the picture and just was like, this is unbelievable that this just happened. Then it was his turn. And then the guy came back. That was right. Meet and greet. But that was one of those things I was telling him. He goes, how do you know Ryan? I go, I've put out records for him on my record label. And he's like, oh, that's really cool. So I was having that moment. I was like, oh man, that's so great. So fun that we have this new single coming out from Roxy. And this, because I always bring up, my love of Weird Al to Ryan, and he's like, oh, did I ever tell you about the time? I'm like, you mentioned this to me before.
That's wild. Thank you for telling that story here.
You should put
I tried to give you the nutshell version because I realized we've talked a lot.
You should put Albuquerque in the dead wax of the single.
Oh, I know it's already pressed. That maybe the next Roxy single, because there will be more. So
next time.
That's a great idea.
Oh,
For
God.
Russ.
For Russ.
Yep.
And Lauren.
I love it. That's amazing.
And then Roxy's like, what's this?
Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
Don't even think about it, ma'am. Just keep selling those records.
Don't worry
Get
about
on stage. Play.
Oh, gosh. Well, this has been a delightful Velvet Elvis discussion.
And then next time that Scotty is on, we'll be talking about the good old days.
Good old days.
Literally.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be talking about the last time he was on, which will then be the good old days.
Yes.
And we'll be discussing the song
Good Old Days.
The Good Old Days.
Yeah.
And I've got some interesting points on that too. For the household that I grew up in. That style of music was very prevalent.
Oh yeah.
Household. Sure. My parents, definitely the James Taylor, Nicolette Larson.
Oh, I'm excited.
Dan Fogelberg.
I'm excited. We got so much good stuff coming up. It's wonderful. So, Scotty, thank you so much for being here and coming on the show and
thank you for having me.
Great Weird Al conversation with us. It's been fantastic. Russ, thank you for taking the time as always.
Yeah, well, it's the least.
Thanks for rolling in.
Yeah, thanks for rolling in. All right, people. Like we said, next time Zach will be back, and I don't know if he's gonna have Coke or not.
Yeah, I know. You got to watch him.
You got to watch him with that. Coca-Cola.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next episode in the Even Worse series. And as always, stay weird and be kind, bring joy, repeat. Bye.